And you know how you don't remember your dreams? But I woke up thinking to myself, oh, I won the lottery again. That solves everything. Like, I did it again. When I won the money and I got that first check, my life has been thrilling and happy for the last 26 years. I mean, if I knew how to do it again, I would have done it again a few times.
Do you ever have people that reach out and ask for money or...
Even today that happens, and no becomes your best friend. That's one of the great things about growing up in New York is that you learn how to set your boundaries really quick. You know, you stand there and don't ask for my money, and no. This is my philosophy, take it or leave it. Money does buy happiness.
Welcome to Lottery Dreams and Fortune. I am so excited to be joined here today with John Falcon, who is returning to the podcast for the second time. He was on here a couple years ago, but he actually won, I believe it was the New York Lotto?
In 1999, yes.
Actually, it's the same year that I won the Powerball, so we have that in common.
We do. Do you still have any money?
Yeah, a couple dollars.
If you had called, I would have told you to take the annuity. You know?
You did take the annuity, and most people that have won the lottery, major prizes, because in the United States you have the choice of the annuity,
yes,
all of it over a period of years or half of it right away. Almost everyone does take the lump sum, but you did choose the annuity. So would you recommend that for somebody else?
Yes, anyone under 50, or that's even anyone under 55 should take the annuity, because you then have 26 years of checks coming. You can screw up one year and still know that you have a check coming. Plus, when you take the annuity, you get half. In my case, I won $45 million. By taking the annuity, I got $22,500,000, as opposed to the $9 million if I took the lump sum. And yes, it has, every year you know you're getting money for 26 years. It was great, and you could plan for things, and because you knew that another check was coming, or you could certainly take that to the bank, to get a mortgage, on a higher priced property. It has worked in my favor very well. And I got my last check in November.
That's right. So the last time you were on this show, you mentioned that you had 3 more years of checks, and now you have received your last check.
I received my last check. Believe me, I wore my dark cape with a hood, walked, around the city of New York going, oh, I'm now haunting the halls of my apartment building. Yes, it was a sort of an awakening. Oh my Lord, no more yearly pension just for my existence. Just for existing. Yes. But.
Well, are you able to say if you invested or what you have?
I have a nice little nest egg that I'm trying to figure out what to do because of current situations going on in the world. I'm sure that our government is going to start deregulating banking and Wall Street. If they do that at the same time, we have 2008 all over again. Doing research into where I should, dump some cash in.
And what are your thoughts on the most secure place to invest? Do you have any advice?
So far, I think, and I haven't done it yet, I think the most stable, and I don't mean stable because everything fluctuates. There's nothing that exists that's stable, right? You buy something at one price, it either goes up or it goes down. But I think precious metals are what I'm going to invest a few million in, just to keep them safe, because Otherwise, with the, and I don't want to get political, but otherwise with the way that, the world is going today with the tariffs and everything, that could lead us into a depression. And that means banks close. And that means once banks close, you're not getting your money back. And so I just want to protect myself from any body else's nonsense somehow. And I think precious metals are where I'm going to go.
That's very interesting. And do you know, with the annuity itself, one reason why some people don't take the annuity is because the interest rate is so low, but it's also very, very secure. So do you happen to know the rate at which it would increase in value?
Yes, the checks got bigger and bigger. And the last check was the biggest check. I thought it was going to be bigger, actually, because back in 1999, they told me it was going to be X amount of money. And it was a little bit short of that. But that could have been because of what was going on in banking and finances at the time. But it was the biggest check that I got. I'm very sad to see it. So I've decided that I need to just win the lottery again. I'm 70. Oh, Jesus. Wait, let me take that out. Not yet. I'm 68. I am 68, going on 69. I've decided that I have to win it again, and I'm just going to, when I get back to New York, play. I mean, not every day, but I'll play when it's big.
So you believe that it's possible to win again?
I don't know what I believe. Basically, I'm sort of joshing with you, but the truth is I probably will. If it gets to be $500 million, what is $4? Right? Because I only play twice, because you only need to hit once. So I mean, it's I have a new set of numbers that I don't know will ever come out, and then I make up another set of numbers, which is how I won before. So yeah, for $4 a week, $4 a game, I can play. But I mean, I'll do that only when it's over 500,000. So
yeah, that makes complete sense.
500 million is what I meant to say. When it's over 500 million, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the first time that you won, you mentioned in the last interview that you had this amalgamation of numbers that came to you, and that you had dreams about winning before it happened, or even after it happened, I believe. But with your grandmother came to you in your dreams. Looking back now, do you believe that was spiritual guidance?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go into all that either. Spirituality. We all have our own spirituality. I'll call it just like witchcraft. Because there was also the story about the lady in New Orleans with the bone, who gave me the bone and said it was going to bring me good luck. And then, the next month I won the lottery. I mean, so what is it? Is it the bone? Is it my grandmother coming to me in my sleep? Is it just dumb luck? Do you know what I mean? They're all, it's A, B, C, all of the above. So who knows why I won the last time. But there were things, and I think hindsight is always 20/20. Sometimes it's 20/25. So it's like there's so much hindsight that you start making up things, and you romanticize on what you think happened, and that certainly could be what that is as well. It could just as easily be dumb luck, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if I knew how to do it again, I would have done it again a few times.
And you did show us the bone the last time, I believe, when you were on here. Is quite quite remarkable. So we can pull that up for people watching this on YouTube today. But some people, I think you just alluded to this, but some people believe that it's possible to manifest a lottery win. Do you think that your belief or your openness because of the dream, do you think that potentially, is there any possibility in your mind that your energy of believing in it might have attributed to that?
Who can say yes or no? But if you want to talk to me in a phantasmagorical sort of way, it's sure, and because maybe that's true, and so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to manifest that I'm going to win again, and it's so interesting because the other day, and I don't want to say this as that this is some sort of sign, but the other day I had I woke up, and you know how you don't remember your dreams, but I woke up thinking to myself, "Oh, I won the lottery again. That solves everything." I woke up like that with that thought in my mind, like I did it again. Great. Now I don't have to worry about, selling my art, which I bought for this reason. I think I tell you today, I bought the art for my last year, to sell it. But, so the art was always going to be sold. But I woke up with this feeling of, I won again. Good. Thank God I don't have to worry about it. So I think that I'm just going to ride that wave.
Yeah, absolutely. And
if I win again, I guess we get a part 3.
Yes, yeah. Well, we always love having you back anyway. But for anyone watching this that has had a dream, because this happened to me, this is why I'm asking these questions, because I had a dream about it before it happened, and so I was just curious what you would say to anyone watching or listening today that maybe has had a dream about winning the lottery and they're hoping that means something. What would you say to someone like that?
We all have dreams, so I don't know if we have to find out the percentage of people who have had winning the lottery dreams have actually won it, and those who haven't won it yet or ever. I mean, I don't think just because you dream about winning the lottery that it's going to happen. I think for you and I, we had these dreams, and they came true. What was your dream that you dreamt of? What was the premise of your dream?
Well, I didn't see my grandmother or anyone like that, but I felt, this sounds crazy. I mean, I think it can sound crazy if you haven't experienced something like this, but I felt as if I was in this meditative sleep state, and I felt as if I vibrated out of my body, and I experienced in this dream that I had already won the lottery. And so from that time on, I believed that I was going to win, and I started playing consistently because the dream was so real. And then I won about 3 months later. And so some people think that's a coincidence, and a lot of people think that it's not. But regardless, that was what happened. And so I just find it interesting to hear these stories. That's why I was asking.
Well, I mean, what's interesting about what you just said is that that's exactly when I had my little dream, was in that state, that in between sleep and wake up. And it was just me waking up and just feeling like relieved that I won again, and I don't have to do anything, regarding my art or selling my apartments or anything like that. And so the fact that you said that's exactly what you dreamt, you're in that same state. I'll take that as an omen. Damn it, I'm going to win again. I have to get back to New York just so I can start playing, because you can't play from Buenos Aires.
That's right. So you're in Buenos Aires right now.
Yes.
How is it down there for you?
Great. And Buenos Aires is a surprisingly beautiful city. It has some extraordinary European architecture, just done over the top, spectacular.
you were mentioning your art or some of the art earlier. I don't know too much about that scene, but if you invest in art, I mean, can you give a couple examples of the types of pieces you have, and like what kind of money are we talking? You don't have to say the exact amount, but like roughly.
Well, I was an art major, so when I first started buying art, I was just so thrilled to be able to own pieces by the artists that I studied. So it was, and one of them is Alexander Calder, who is like the American Picasso, but the father of mobiles. Before him, mobiles did not exist. He created the first mobile. You can go into office building lobbies and see these giant mobiles hanging from the ceiling. Most likely they're Calder. That was the first piece I bought. I bought a Calder gouache in, of all places, Las Vegas, because at that time, one of the hotels had a Pace Wildenstein gallery, and I had just won the money kind of thing, and there was this Calder gouache of a circus, and I bought it, and it was $50,000 then, and now I think it's probably worth hundreds of thousands. So how much depends on how many people want to bid on that piece.
Wow, that's remarkable. And you've said in our last interview that we spoke about how money or winning the lottery can magnify a person or who they are and that sort of thing. How would you, first of all, do you agree with that it amplifies or magnifies who you already are on the inside? And then if so, how did it amplify you creatively? Because you have a new album and
yes,
a new film and all kinds of things I want to ask about in a second, but how did it amplify you or magnify your personality creatively, would you say?
Well, I mean, I think that when I first won the money, the realization that I could travel the world, that happened first. And so that put all of my creative energies in a I locked them in a little trunk and da-da-da-da. And of course that's not true. You don't, because you get inspired by what you're seeing. When you get to Machu Picchu, you look at Machu Picchu, and I was at Machu Picchu before they closed it down and made it because now you can only see Machu Picchu from across the mountain across from it, where you get a perfect view of the whole Machu Picchu. But when I went, they still had cardboard walkways and things, and you could walk through it. I mean, I actually took a rock. I shouldn't admit that. The Peruvian government is going to come after me. Oh. But I took a rock, and the very idea that I took a rock is exactly why they closed it off to the public now. You have to be an academic to get to the actual spot now, but not when I was there. I rented a houseboat in Paris for 3 months. It was cost me a lot of money.
What was that like? How was that?
Spectacular. It was spectacular. And I had friends come and stay with me, and it was right. I mean, I don't know if anyone knows Paris, but it was across from the Louvre. So when I got up in the morning, I had a view of the Louvre. And if I looked to my left was Pont Neuf. And then if I looked to my right was the fire department of the Seine River. And every morning about 8 o'clock, they would get up in little red Speedos and simultaneously do gymnastics on the top of their boat. So every morning I would set my alarm and bring my Nespresso and sit and watch them do their calisthenics. But anyway, yes, so it's just extraordinary experiences traveling, a million travel stories, but I don't know if that's where you want me to go, but just to say that when I first won the money, what took up a good 12, 15 years was just travel.
So for anyone that has the ability to do that, or if they win the lottery tomorrow and they are into traveling, where are your top three places where are the top three places someone should visit?
I went to Machu Picchu, but on that same trip, I went to the Galapagos Islands. You fly into Quito, and then you go. Quito, of course, is in Ecuador, is the capital of Ecuador. and it's a high city, so you're going to have you may have a little respiratory issues for the first few days, and then from Quito you go to the equator, where you get the boat that'll take you to cruise around the Galapagos Islands. And the Galapagos Islands they're very restricted, so there are paths you have to walk and you can't stray. And of course the animals are king, so if there's an animal in front of you, you either climb over it or wait for it to move. You know. And if you haven't seen a blue-footed booby, they are
A
look them up.
blue-footed
Booby.
booby?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
You need to look this up. I mean, but it's a bird. It's a big gangly bird with bright blue feet. They also have an anomaly of their genetic code. There are a few blue-footed boobies that have bright pink feet, and they're just goofy, beautiful birds, and they live in the cliffs of the Galapagos Island, one of the islands of the Galapagos Island. I remember we went into a rowboat because we needed to go into a cave for some reason. You know, I'm always like, I'm fine here. I don't need to go into the cave. You know, but I figured, okay, let me go into the damn cave, and then you go into the damn cave, and he's showing us that there are just millions and millions of bats hanging from the ceiling. And then as we were going back to the boat, from the rowboat, going back on the rowboat to the main boat, we saw an octopus grab a seagull and drag it into the water. It was, of course, none of us had our cameras ready because who knew that was going to happen? But that's a sight I'll never forget, you know, because this octopus came out like a big sea monster that you would see in mythology books, Greek mythology books, came out and just grabbed the seagull and dragged it under the water. And I said, oh, wow, getting hungry. So, I mean, travel, that's what travel is. You know, you just experiences. And so if someone says, where should they go? Well, I would go to to the Galapagos Island, and then on that same trip, because Galapagos is in Ecuador, so and then Machu Picchu is right next door in Peru, and Cusco is one of the highest cities. That's 11,000 feet above sea level, so you're really gasping for air there. But they have a thing called they use cacao, whatever it is, and it's basically the basis of cocaine, and but they make a tea out of it. And so I was drinking that tea all day in Cusco because it did make breathing much easier.
That sounds amazing. And you have done quite a bit of traveling, which sounds just extraordinary. Would you say that also after winning the lottery that, obviously it freed up time. You didn't have to work the job that you had before. So how would you say that it eventually affected or didn't affect or inspire your creative endeavors, because you have now produced some music? I believe you're working on another album right now. You actually have a short film as well.
That happened because of COVID. Up until COVID, I was still, to be fair, even before COVID, I was still keeping up with my singing and going to my coach 3 times a week and doing all of that. But with an idea that one day I was going to do an album. That would go to shame, but if I'd ever leave you. If there was a trip to Rome to be had, or also Mexico, I love Mexico, and Spain, I adore Spain, and of course Italy and Venice, I have friends in Venice. If that came up, then the music got pushed aside. However, with COVID, when that happened, I was self-isolated in my apartment in New York City for about 9 months. And the first 5 weeks was great fun, not for the rest of the world, just from my own point of view, because you could not do anything and not feel guilty. There was this thing happening. So the fact that you were just lying around and ordering Chinese food and watching RuPaul Drag Race, it was exactly what you could do. You couldn't do anything else because the city was closed in New York City anyway. And so there was being a sloth, without guilt. But then around the 5th week, I started to dig into my recording files, because I've recorded many times and I've recorded hundreds of songs and blah blah blah. I just never did anything with it. And there was one song called Better Days that was written by Brian Lasser, who wrote it about the AIDS crisis. And he passed away in the early 90s. And I had done a recording of that song, like in the 2000s. And when I heard the song, I said, well, this is very apropos, not just to AIDS, but to, of course, COVID. So I called up my musical director, Brian, who I usually have to talk into things. And I said to him, I found a recording of Better Days. Let's make a music video. And he said yes. It wasn't, I didn't have to coax him, anything. He just said, yes, let's do it, and because he was going crazy too. So we met, like Broadway somewhere, and up by him, because we could walk down. And we walked from where he is. He's like in the 70s on Broadway, all the way down to the World Trade Center, just taking footage. And we put together the music video. It's gotten some, I think maybe 10,000 views or something. I mean, it's one of the great things. You tell me as well. One of the great things about TikTok is that it was sort of easy to get large numbers. I find YouTube so slow to get any sort of traction, whereas there was traction on TikTok. So
yeah, TikTok seems to give views pretty easy, I would say.
Yes. So that things can, your viewership gets so much quicker. 350,000 for the Catch Me video. I'll send that to you when we get off the phone.
Yeah, and we would love to link to it in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening to this today. But you also have a short film that I've seen the poster art for this. So what is this, and where can people find this?
We just finished it. This film took us 2 years, and it's only 15 minutes. So I don't know how they did Gone with the Wind, but I mean, it took The Godfather or whatever. It took 2 years just for this little film, and it hasn't. We haven't done anything with it yet, so I don't want to say too much about it until we get it out to our first film festival, which hopefully I'm going to try to find out. It's not necessary in Sundance for a movie short to be a premiere. It is if you're doing a full-length movie, Sundance only wants premieres, but not with movie shorts. So I want to find out if our chances are better if we give them a premiere. So I'm going to try calling and making a pain in the ass of myself, and that's a good way to get them to know who you are. And the goal is Sundance, but if we can do other music festival, short movie festivals, of which there are hundreds, if not thousands, we'll start sending it out. When I get back to New York, I get back to New York the first week of June.
Okay. Amazing. Well, I certainly am excited to see it whenever it's released. And so you have done so many incredible things with all the traveling and your creative endeavors, and your voice is spectacular. We'd love to put that into this interview if possible, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts on money and happiness? Do you think there's a correlation there? Like what?
Didn't you ask me
Yeah,
this before?
I
do
did.
have
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah.
This is my philosophy, take it or leave it. Money does buy happiness. I think people who are unhappy, who have money, are going to be happy. We're just basically going to be unhappy anyway, whether they had money or no money. But for me, my life, when I won the money, I don't know about you, I'll have to ask you the same question. But I mean, when I won the money and I got that first check, my life has been thrilling and happy for the last 26 years. There's been, my parents died and all that, but all of that was made easier because of the money. I mean, that would have happened whether I had money or no money, and it would have been much more difficult if I didn't have any money to deal with. Because they lived in Florida. I had money, I could stay at a hotel for 3 months. Do you know what I mean? And be there for them. I wouldn't have been able to do that. Without money, they would probably have to buy me a ticket to come down because I would have had some crap job and have to pay rent and didn't have extra money for airfares or hotels or anything. So, I mean, the fact that I had money made those really tough times in my life easier to deal with. They weren't less tough, they were just easier to manage. So money, to me, yes, it brings happiness. And to people who say that it doesn't, they're just doing it wrong. And what about you?
Well, I mean, I think for me, at least, I definitely resonate with everything that you're saying. I think for me, I feel like it's been a blessing. I'm so unbelievably grateful. It's one of the biggest. I didn't win quite 45 million jackpot, but it was still extremely life-changing, and I'm so grateful. And I feel like money it can provide time, which is invaluable. Time and opportunities, positive opportunities. I mean, there's so many things that could be positive. It can really enhance your quality of life in so many ways. And on the other hand, there are some people that are very wealthy that are extremely unhappy, because we see these stories in the media with celebrities and different people that are in the spotlight. And so with that,
but they would have been unhappy anyway. In other words, no amount of money can cure your core character. I mean, only you can cure your own character. Only you can decide to approach things differently. There's a great line from, I am now going to quote Prior to the Caribbean. There's a great, not Shakespeare, Prior to the Caribbean, Captain Jack, where he says, the problem isn't the problem here. It's your approach to the problem that's the problem here. And that is usually most people's issue. It's not the problem, but their approach to the problem is the problem. So, and that's from Prior to the Caribbean.
Yeah. Well, it's wisdom. That is.
Yeah,
wisdom.
that is. Wasn't his name Jack Black? Was it Jack Black? Captain Jack. That's Captain Jack Wisdom.
Yeah.
Or whoever wrote the script.
Yeah, absolutely. And your I don't know what you think about this, but your perception of how it's kind of the same thing, but how you perceive it. If the glass is half full, the glass is half empty, is your problem. I mean, oftentimes it's up in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I don't think it's ever the money's problem. It's how the person processes it in their mind. So I processed it as an opportunity to see the world, to meet people. By the way, I have friends all over Earth. I mean, I've only been here since January, and I have friends here, and we go out to dinner, and we go to jazz clubs, and because Buenos Aires are very friendly, and it all depends on how you approach your money. Use it for betterment, whatever.
And do people know that you? I mean, obviously you have a lot of friends, but do people know that you won the lottery? Or is
yes.
Mm-hmm. And do you openly just tell them that, or do you keep it a secret?
No, people always wonder why it is I'm staying at the best hotel, and why am I going to the best restaurants, the Michelin star restaurants? Why I am traveling first class. Blah blah blah. And their first thought is drugs, that I'm a drug pusher, a drug fiend. I'm El Chapo. That's their first thought, John Chapo. And it's not like I scream out that I won. I have to know that this person is worthy, that we're actually going to be friends. And, eventually they ask, John, how are you affording all this?
Or when people do know that you have won the lottery, even though it was 1999, do you ever have people that reach out and ask for money or loans or that sort of thing?
Even today that happens. And, no becomes your best friend. Even family, even cousins, and what I call the peripheral family. You saw them on holidays, but the rest of the year you never saw them. So just that peripheral, they were the first ones to ask. My family, my sister and my niece and nephew and all that. Yes, of course. I mean, I sent my niece to she went to SMU to study acting, and my nephew I helped get through law school. He's a Marine, so I believe he had money from being a vet, but him going to school meant he couldn't work, so he needed to supplement his wife's income, and so I would monthly give them a certain amount of money so they could. So for those relatives, yes, but the other relatives, find out if they didn't care who you were, before, all my cousins who asked for money, that was a no. I said, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Go, go away.
Yeah, that I completely understand. And did you have any problem doing that, or were you just...
No, I'm a New Yorker. Are you kidding? I live for that. I mean, that's one of the great things about growing up in New York, is that you learn how to set your boundaries really quick, because everyone is trying to, everyone gets too close to kiss, everyone, so you need to set, you stand there and don't ask for my money, and no. And of course, I think I said it the last time too, I'm going to repeat it, charities are also on that list, because charities never stop asking. They're always hungry and they never stop asking. You decide what charity, if you want to give, and that's if you want to give to charity. Let's even put that in there. But if you want to give to charity, pick the charities that you want to give to, and then that's it. Don't stray. Don't go, because everyone has a charity. There's a charity for everyone. You pick the charities that you want to give to, and even if you want to give to a new charity, see if there's an old charity you can get rid of so that you can give to the new charity. don't keep on adding charities. It all builds up, you know. But I'm not saying don't give to charity, but pick the charities that mean something to you. You know.
Did you work with a financial advisor or anyone to tell you how much to give to charities, or did you just kind of know?
I did. When I first won the money, I had a great group of wealthy friends. Some have passed away, have passed on. They gave me their tax attorney. That was one of the most important things. And they gave me their accountant, and I had my own bookkeeper because I had a shop. And that I have to say that I miss those two because they passed away. So when they passed away within, it was like 15, 16 years into my winning, and then they passed away. And they kind of left me, I felt like a motherless child, because we had become friends. So they both took such good care of me and were so creative in the way that they approached things. And now, I don't want to say anything wrong with my current, accountant, but or anything, because I like them too, but they're just, it's just not as creative as the other two were, And so, when they passed, that was a real sort of like, holy crap, they left me her alone. What am I going to do? But, I found, my bookkeeper, who I had when I had a shop, so I've known her since the 80s, found a new accountant and knew everything. But I don't have the same relationship with them that I did with the other two.
But you would say that that's important. How important would you say that is or isn't if you win a major lottery jackpot to have a financial advisor?
Well, first of all, a financial advisor is different than an accountant, a bookkeeper, and a tax attorney. If you have a good tax attorney and a good accountant and a good bookkeeper, you don't really need to worry about a financial advisor. Somebody there is going to know someone, is going to ask for you questions, and this is why I say I felt rudderless when they passed away, because they were the one who were guiding me, the tax attorney along with the, I don't know if you know this, but if you take the annuity and you pass away, like let's say I won the $45 million and I took the annuity, and if I had passed away 10 years into that, and I left it to my sister, let's say, or whoever I was going out with, or although I wouldn't do something so stupid, but but if I left it to my sister or something, she would have to pay tax on the entire, even though I was getting it in an annuity, she would have to pay a death tax on the entire amount left, even though I was getting it yearly. Because in their minds, she's making, she's making $12 million or whatever. So, and so they would tax her on the $12 million, even though she's not getting $12 million with that first check, because they would give her to still keep on with the annuity. So what I had to do is set up a trust with enough money in it to pay the taxes in case I die for my sister and her family when they inherited if I should die and they inherit the lottery thing. So there was, and every year they had to take out $1. They had to sign something. It was some crazy kooky thing. And then, unfortunately, I didn't die, and so now I feel I wasted about $10 million just on that. He or she can also set up trusts for children's education. So money that is saved specifically for the child when that child grows up and wants to go to higher education. that you can set up trusts for that as well. It's money non-taxed that the child can use for education.
That is really wonderful. And then just to clarify that, so if you are taxed on that, so theoretically, if someone passes away and they have the annuity and someone inherits it and they have this giant tax, that's all at once?
That's all at once. I don't know. We're talking 1999 now, like 2000, 2001. So, yes, they at that time, and maybe it's different now, but I'll let you know when I win again. Although, if I win again, I'll probably take the lump sum because I'm 68. I mean, how,
Well,
but,
you look fantastic for 68. You look like you're half your age.
Thank you. I'll take it. Thank you so much. I'm going to dance around the house later because you said that to me. It's just my basic immaturity. It's just when I think because when I turned 68, I mean I was fine. 60, 61, 62, 63, all of them. I was fine. But when I turned 68, it just occurred to me that I'm 12 years from 80. 12 years from 80? How could I be 12 years from 80? So, I mean, I got 26 years of checks and that's over. That went in a blink of an eye. Imagine 12 years.
You certainly don't look it, and your energy is I mean, I love it. It's vibrant, it's young. But if, say theoretically, John, if you could theoretically go back in time and time travel back to 1999.
Okay.
If you could do that and talk to yourself right before you won the lottery, what would you say?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. There are things that I would do differently. And I think I have money saved, but I would have saved more. I would have somehow prepared the end of the checks. I would 10 years ago, if I had prepared, with putting it into an index fund or something like that.
Would you say that knowing that inner voice, do you think your intuition has anything to do with that, or you just think that you're just a smart guy? Because you are a smart guy, but...
Well, intuition and intelligence are one and the same. I mean, they are. There's a certain street smarts that has to come in, and I just think I'm someone who's paying attention. So I saw the apartment that was on the 65th floor. I saw that on September 17th, 2001. So that was 6 days after 9/11. So I saw that then, and I didn't even want to be in a tower.
Well, I was just asking about intuition and
intelligence. Yes, I mean, I think they're one and the same. And I think I've always had good intuition about people. Here's an interesting thing. Being an observer of life is much more beneficial than being a participant in life. And that sounds awful, and it's not what I mean. What I mean is if you can walk into the room and observe the drama, but not be part of the drama, you're 100 times ahead of everyone else, right? Because the people who are having the drama, depending on their ages, are being ridiculous and nonsensical and da-da-da-da. And if there's shouting and screaming and da-da-da-da-da-da, if they just shut up and listen to each other and da-da-da-da, they probably wouldn't have the drama they're having now. But to not be a participant in the drama and being an observer of the drama is a much more interesting place to be. And I think that's why I've made such good friends, is because I always go into a room and I look for the ones who are observing, not the ones who are participating. And And those are the people that I say hi to, or they say hi to me because they notice that I'm observing as well. And it's a different kind of person. It's a different way of, and that doesn't mean they don't participate in life, because the majority of my friends have, wonderful jobs and are creative in their own right, but they're just not going to get into the minutia of everyday life with everyday people. So they just stand back and they watch. And if I walk into a party or a room of people I don't know, that's intuitively who I'm looking for, who also is observing and not on the dance floor. And that doesn't mean that we don't go on the dance floor. It just means that we go on the dance floor with the right people.
Yeah, observing.
Did that make any sense whatsoever?
Yeah, that does make sense. So you observe and take it in and learn and
yes, which is how one should travel as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. For anyone, I know we don't have tons of more time, but if anyone that's watching or listening to this today that plays the lottery, they're hoping for their big break, they're hoping that it will come to them, they're dreaming big, just what would you say to them?
I mean, in other words, they haven't won the lottery yet?
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's a game, and it's a game of chance. So as long as you're not spending $100 a week on tickets, I would say just take your $10 or $5, in my case $2, and pick numbers and then play them and enjoy it, but you can't depend on that. If it were so easy to win the lottery, everyone would be living the lottery, and I would have won the lottery again 10 years ago. So if anyone knew how to do it, it would be done. Although there are people who win 3 or 4 times it. And I know about this manifest thing that you said, because there's people who believe that they manifest themselves into winning the lottery. And from that dream that I had the other day, I just said, I'm just gonna proceed as if I'm going to win the lottery, and the worst that will happen is it was a nice delusion.
Well, we'd love to have you back on this show. We'd love to have you back on here, if and when that happens. Anything's possible. Well, yeah. play responsibly, which I'm sure you are.
I only do $2. I still only do $2.
Yeah, well, that's all it takes.
Do you play a still as well, or?
Once in a while, if something inspires me, I'll buy a ticket. But usually, it's just one ticket, because that's.
Yes, I mean $1 billion, which has happened, 3 or 4 times. I mean, that's inspiring. Yeah, I'll play it. I could do $2 for that. I may even spend 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, I completely understand and get that. But with people that are watching or listening to this today, I know a lot of people are very interested in your music and your film, your short film that's still in the process of being produced, that you're going to be entering into Sundance and some other festivals. So where can people find more about this? Where can they find your music? Where can they find this film when it's out?
Well, I do have a Squarespace page.
We will definitely link to it. If you don't know the link, that's perfectly fine, but we will link to it. If you're listening to this, we'll put it in the show notes. If you're watching this, we'll put it in the description of this video, so we'll definitely link to it. And also, you're on social media, at least Instagram, I believe.
I am on Knick-Knack. I am on Instagram if you want to see my private life. I am on Facebook, and I do have a professional page on Facebook. And I have a professional page on YouTube and also a personal page on YouTube. On YouTube, both of them have my videos.
Well, your voice is stunning, and I was really impressed with what I've heard. It's really stunning. And so the new album is called Flashback. The new film, the poster, is 8mm Abandoned Memories. And we will put links to them. And we're definitely going to get above 20 copies. Hopefully, well, not hopefully. I know anyone watching or listening to this, check out John's music. It is fantastic. His voice is incredible. It's stunning. And I'm very grateful for your time today.
You as well.
And I cannot wait for the next interview, because you just had the dream. So anything is possible.
That's it. I just had the dream. You know what? I have to write a song. I'm writing songs now, too. I need to write a song called I Just Had the Dream.
That's
yes.
right.
Well, I'm going to ride the crest of that dream. Yes. Finally, I won again. Okay, let's move on.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, John.
I was the only winner that night when I won. I remember 2 months before I won, I had a dream. And the dream, I had a voice tell me, play the lottery, you're going to win. I knew I was going to win. I was always thinking about it, all day, every day. People saying the lottery is a scam, it's fake. It's not fake. This is 100% real.